Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description. Okay, so let's talk about the spirit world. But before I do, let's do some bookkeeping and whatnot. So, one, I'm currently working on 3 different books right now. One of them is a novel. If you haven't read my first one, you can check it down in the link tree down below. That's more of a fantasy novel. And the second one is going to be kind of a fantasy horror about somebody with schizophrenia and whether or not what he sees is real. Um, you can kind of think Stranger Things meets Fight Club and Shutter Island, stuff like that. Those kinds of things. I got about 22,000 words in it right now. I'm probably aiming for 70,000. We'll see how that goes. And then I'm also working on a book on time magic. If you want to take the class on that, there is I have a class on Udemy on time magic. You can find the link down there. And then me and my lady are working on a book on the goddess and her evolution and archetypes and various names through time and tracing that lineage back. Actually, the first time I tried recording this video, she was doing some research and she buzzed me, so I went upstairs to find out the latest thing that she dug up. Because I'm just the writer in that one. She's more of the genius behind the whole project. So anyway, we're talking about the spirit world here, so let me make sure I have my notes up. So, what I want you to kind of keep in mind, I keep having to scroll down on these note things because I have a lot of different video ideas on here, but this is at the bottom. What I want you to think of is the world around you that you're in. What kind of people, and even animals and plants and different things, are in the world around you? You know, wherever you like, whatever job you have, wherever you work, maybe even some family members. There are, of course, good people. There are bad people. There are people that will help you. There are people that will not help you. There are practically NPCs that mean nothing, and you see them in passing. The spirit world is arguably much the same. So I could give a ton of different examples on this, so we'll see how long this video is. But okay, so the other night, we were out on the back porch and we were just looking out into the woods at all the fireflies. And and it's great that she reminded me about this morning, but we were staring out into the woods, and I have this huge tree. Of course, it's a whole thing of woods, but there's this one huge tree that's directly out back of my porch, and it actually hangs over my house. And I swear, I actually made a post in the community tab on my YouTube channel about this, but I swear to you guys that I saw this thing. It was solid. It it jumped from behind the tree about 8 or 10 feet up and leapt from the where the tree was over to my left. And the thing is, I saw it move, and it was barely a second, but I saw it move and it jumped, and it didn't make any noise when it landed, and I didn't hear it run off. But I saw it there. And that is the example of one of the different kinds of spirits that you can find, or spirits that you can see. And this would be the spirits in passing. You know, you're driving on the road, and you got other people, other cars that pass you, and that's the only interaction you have with them. Or you're driving down the road and you happen to see a deer crosses the road. That's the only interaction you have with them. And even people that walk by on the street, that's the only interaction you have with them. You're at work and you pass by some customers or whatever. That's the only interaction you have with them. You don't personally interact. You can have that kind of thing with spirits. I've had bumps in the night and different things that happen around in my house where a spirit comes in, maybe they mess around with something for a day, or I happen to see a wisp of them or something like that, and then I never see them again. Those kinds of spirit things are, of course, happenable, or they do occur. Happenable is not a word. Let's make note of that. Now, other different kinds of spirits. So, like at work, you can have nice coworkers, nice customers, angry angry customers, angry coworkers, people that are indifferent, um, all sorts of things like that. You know, spirits can be much the same. There are spirits that are very, very approachable. Other ones are a little bit harder to get to know. And depending on the rituals and different things that you do and the amount of energy that you raise and whatnot, then it may take a little bit more effort and energy and whatnot to be able to interact with certain spirits than others. Some of them are very, very welcoming to being asked for help and things like that. Like Barashakushi from the 50 Names of Marduk. He's the kindest of the 50. He's the most likely to show up. I recommend him for people that start working with the 50 Names of Marduk just because he's most likely to show up even if you don't really have something to ask him for, because with the 50 Names of Marduk you can literally invoke them just to ask for their presence and whatnot. Because you're, in the invocation thing, hear my urgent prayer. Well, my urgent prayer is just, I want to be able to start communicating with you guys, not I need this done right now. But and even with working and invoking with spirits, you can think of, you know, some services that you might need done at your house, like repairing your roof, costs a heck of a lot more than getting a lock fixed at your front door, right? So with spirits and interacting with them, you might have a more highly fledged out ritual with a lot more timing and different materials and things like that. And so that's more of a cost of effort and energy, which would compare to the higher cost of repairing your roof versus fixing the busted lock on your front door. So there's that. And there's spirits that come around us all the time. You might go to a particular place, like a forest or a lake or a river or something like that. And those that are in tune with these kinds of things, and of course you can build these skills, are you can sense that there are spirits there. Maybe they're indifferent. Maybe they're angry. Maybe if you're spiritually attuned, you can go there and you get the sense of get away, leave, stuff like that. Almost like that feeling that you get when you go into a room and someone's angry, that kind of thing. Or you go into a party and you can kind of sense whether the energy is up and lively or just kind of a Debbie Downer. Going to a nice party versus going to a wake. What's the energy feel like in there? Or, in one situation over the other. And the different spirits that you can interact with, they all have these different flavors. And there's different spirits that you can bump into all the time. I want you to really think about the fact that spirits aren't just something that you connect with and conjure up in your temple, in your ritual space. You can interact with spirits all of the time, whether you are driving somewhere, going for a hike somewhere, even at work. There are people that can have spirit attachments because they might have some trauma or baggage or different things like anger issues or addiction or things like that, where spirits could actually be feeding off of them. And then guess what? You interact with them. You kind of enter this energetic interplay between you, that person, and the spirit that is feeding off of them. So one of the things that is very important when it comes to literally going anywhere is the idea of like grounding your energy, getting rid of your bad negative jazz, hoocha. If I believe we mentioned that in the live streams that we've had, and I believe I made a video on it. HUCHA, heavier, dense energy that we generate that can actually bog us down from, doing different things and functioning properly as an energetic human being, things like that. So you really got to think about when you're going somewhere, how like protected are you, because you could go somewhere, like there's plenty of tales of people going to like someplace that's haunted, and then guess what? They bring a spirit attachment home, or even engaging in different things that are disrespectful to different areas. You go to a park and you litter. The spirits of that park are not going to like that. Even the Tibetans with the Nagas, the serpent-like beings that inhabit water, places of water and other places. They definitely don't like it if you litter. And then, if you're out on a hike and whatever, and you think nature is a bathroom. If you gotta go, you gotta go. You go behind a tree. Nagas don't like that either. That's why whenever we go out somewhere to like a park or hiking or even the beach or whatever, we pick up trash because it's a good thing for um to show that you're not here to cause any trouble. You're not here to be like the mainstream human machine and bulldoze and terraform and make this land into your liking and remove the habitat for animals, because like if we affect the habitat of animals, guess what, the animals like the squirrels and the chipmunks and all the other and the birds and different things like that, they arguably live more in harmony with spirits than we do, because they're not there screwing with the natural environment. That's like if somebody was to come in here and rearrange my house or break my stuff, I'd be kind of pissed. So, you go anywhere and you wreak destruction or you leave litter or waste or things like that, you can get spirits angry. They can mess with you. I believe I mentioned one of the stories about I forgot what video it was in, but the idea of where if you're out in the woods, there can be some mischievous spirits that might just not like you being there because you're crossing into their territory. Because spirits can arguably be territorial, just like a lot of other animals, like mountain lions, cougars, bears, things like that. Wolves, even. You ever see? I think it's The Gray with Liam Neeson. You know, that kind of thing. He ends up at the wolf's den at the end of the movie. Those guys are territorial. But where my lady was actually confused during a vision quest, because she entered the arguably entered the domain of a gnome, and one of the ways to prevent them from screwing with you is actually to wear your clothes backwards, because then they can't kind of understand you or like see you look confusing to them, you know. There's actually a great story about this kind of thing where I forgot where it was, but there was this tribe that they would go off hunting and they would constantly get picked off by tigers. And what they got, I forgot who gave it to them or whatever, but they got these hats, like these beanie hats that had eyes on the back, right? So that makes you look backwards. You're wearing your clothes backwards because the eyes are on the back of your head. And that reduced tiger attacks by like 90 something percent, because tigers are ambush predators. So if they think that they're being watched, they're not going to come after you, right? So you're confusing them, and hey, look, you're lowering the threat. But so this is when meditation and clearing your mind and becoming spiritually in tune and doing a lot of rituals to tap into energetics comes in, because the more that you step into a ritual space where you're able to drop the Upwork home TV bed level mind and tap into the energetics and being able to feel the things around you, not think about them, not sense them with the taste, touch, smell, hear, see, that kind of stuff. The more you're able to tune that radar into the spirit world. So then when you get out of your house and you interact with people, you might get a vibe of, whoa, this person's energy is off something. And then you can go off on a hike and you can feel when there's some bad vibes. And then, you can, when you get out into the world, you can sense the things that we can't see with our eyes. We can see it with our mind's eye and stuff when we tune our antenna properly. But interacting with these different spirits, there are spirits out there that want to help people. They're off doing their own thing. There's even, there's a lot of ancient researchers and philosophers from like William Henry and Fred D. Silva that talk about how the spirits on different planes, some of them are only allowed to watch. They're not allowed to interact. They can't break the veil, come to me and say, this is what you should do. It's almost like the Prime Directive in Star Trek, where you don't interact with a civilization unless it reaches a certain level, where spirits aren't allowed to exactly tell you what to do, or they're not allowed to reach out first to say, hey, knock, 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 you are going to be able to develop these kinds of things, and this is what I want you to do. You got to approach them. You got to go in and say, hey, this is who I am. I want to work with these particular beings. Any of these, if you are out here, I'm gonna make some offerings to you, and let's start to get to know each other. You are the one that's supposed to make first contact. And it's like certain groups and organizations, they can't go out petitioning for members, but if you go to them, then and you say, "Hey, I want to be a member," then that's how you get in. Um, Things like that. So the spirit world is approachable. There are spirits all over the place, and they are both, they can be good, they can be blase, neutral, they can be things that are malicious and whatnot. You go walking in the woods and you can enjoy the beauty and the creatures that are out there. There's, oh, there's a grosbeck bird. That's pretty. Ooh, there's some doves. That's nice. Ooh, there's a chipmunk. That's awesome. Uh-oh. That's a mountain lion. That's a bear, right? There are things out there that are good, and there are things out there that are bad. So, depending on how and who we interact with, we can bump into these different things, and then this is when you can talk about spiritual protection with these kinds of things, grounding, shielding, making offerings, because a lot, even some spirits are nice. And I talked about the whole territorial thing. That's why even when we go out to a park or something, especially, we've gotten more into the habit of on a regular basis, but when we would go somewhere just to do something spiritual, like going somewhere to meditate and journey and whatnot, we would always start off when we got to a certain place by making offerings, saying, "Hey, we're here in your space, spirits. Let us make you an offering." It's almost like paying the toll, I guess you could say. So you're setting that intention of, I'm here to work and honor you spiritually. And in that way, I'm not going to come here. I'm not going to litter. I'm not going to screw with your environment. I'm putting my best foot forward. And you can do the same kind of thing in ritual. That's why I arguably against the idea of a lot of different spiritual disciplines when it comes to magic and evocation and whatnot, where you command a spirit to show up and say, "Hey, spirit, now that I have you here, do this for me." That kind of thing is just, you're bossing people around. Would you like to be bossed around? Have you ever worked at a place where your boss is an absolute jerk and just, he's a taskmaster and he's not nice and he's not personable and whatever? Well, you're talking with a spirit that is arguably more powerful than you, because they don't have the same physical limitations of length, width, height, and time that you do. But you're here calling the shots. The the boot does not concern itself with the affairs of ants, right? So even in the book The Magicians, I believe it's the second one, where the group of hedge witches, they wanted to make contact with a god, but then the trickster god Renard uses their ritual energy to manifest in their world and wreaks a whole bunch of havoc. You can have the best intentions and whatnot, or even if you're just experimenting and you're just screwing around, then you can run into some consequences, which is why building relationships with spirits and protection and grounding and all that good stuff and being able to sense all this stuff is very important. You can have trickster spirits that hijack stuff. Like if you're using a Ouija board or something, who are you really talking to? When you do magical protection and things like that around your house or around yourself or whatever, you're setting up a semi-permeable membrane where you can choose what to let in and what not to let in. I don't want to talk all love and light and hippie junk and whatever, but for lack of a better term, I don't allow any darkness to come in and only love and light. Oh my God, I feel like I should just eat some tofu and drink a kombucha just by saying that, because it's a really bad taste in my mouth, man. Ugh. I think you get what I'm trying to talk about, though. So be understanding that there is a world of spirits around us that are interacting with us and even slightly nudging us in certain ways, that they can feed off of negative energy, they can feed off of negative emotions, they can come in just a passing manner, or even if you have one that's in passing, the negativity and different things that you can generate, they can attach to and then feed off of. It's like a fly to a lamp in the middle of the night, especially in the summer. Oh my god, the mosquitoes are ridiculous, you know. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to talk about here, but the world of spirits is much more alive than a lot of people think, just because we can't see it, hear it, sense it, smell it, taste it, that kind of stuff, in the same way that we can with physical reality. But you can tune yourself into that sort of thing, and then you'll be able to sense it more and more and more, and you can build a relationship with them and work with them, and then you can have them as allies when it comes to any of the magic that you want to do. Whether it's manifesting that perfect job, or a relationship, or a certain success thing, or going on journeys to other realms, or going in like a healing journey and stuff into your own psyche, into your own past, to help you deal with things and overcome traumas and recapitulate that kind of stuff. So, should have a section on helpful spirits with time magic. Yeah, now I'm getting some more ideas. Anyways, I've ranted for quite a long time. Let me know if you guys like this one and if you want me to do a second video on it, because we could probably talk about this a lot more. Maybe she'd want to do a live stream with me on this one, because I know she has a lot to say about this kind of stuff, and maybe we could get into some stories about it. So, anyways, let me know about that stuff, and subscribe if you haven't. Like this video if you liked it. Drop a comment about any of the stuff that I talked about. Drop questions, any of that good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Good hunting.